like shooting stars came crashing down, and we're building back up again now. See your heart, see your mind, see all you hide. I won't let you go, can't let you slide. When you lose yourself, I'll be right beside you. I'll be right beside you.
I've not really done one of these videos before, but I'm doing a review on Final Fantasy, and I'm just going to see and tell you a few things about Final Fantasy that are type-0 HD that I think are good, and some things that I think about the game. So, first of all, for being released in I think about 2013, it's holding up pretty well in compared to other Final Fantasy games. It is starting to look a bit glitchy, and certain parts of the gameplay that I'm about to show you do kind of look, I don't know how to describe it, just not all there. Like some pixels can go on to other side of the screen, some can just glitch around, so I think it's doing pretty well for its age, but you can see it's starting to be like noticeable now. Anyway, so apart from that, the gameplay is pretty good, and see, I've never played a Final Fantasy game before, and I've actually thought this was pretty fun. And the reason I got Final Fantasy type-0 HD for PlayStation was because, one, it was cheap because it's now old, and also because I was recommended it as I've never played a Final Fantasy game before, and I would actually recommend it to someone that has never played a Final Fantasy game before. It's easy to get the hang of, the gameplay's not that hard. There's a few bosses and a few missions that are kind of hard, but if you're just a normal gamer, you should be able to get over them. And I think that's just the fun of this game. You can just play around with it, master your abilities for different characters, and do missions over and over again. That I think is pretty fun. There's a few missions that I feel like I did fail on, and that are pretty hard, but I think that's part of any game. So, Final Fantasy is a large genre, and most of them link up, but this one is actually separate from most of them, and it's actually kind of fun as well, because it's got a side story that isn't really that related to the rest of the other Final Fantasy like games and the genre, so it's a bit separate and different. So that's what I think is good for people that are trying it for the first time, as you don't actually have to play any of the other Final Fantasy games. So if you just start in Final Fantasy, or if you want a nice separate story where you don't need to remember other Final Fantasy games to know what the story is happening. Because I think this game has a good introduction to all the magic and crystals, and I think the intro is pretty good and shows new players how the game actually works, and yeah. So I think one of the other things that I didn't really like about this game was the layout of the UI. I feel like it's not really that noticeable, and sometimes it would glitch out and disappear, and sometimes it would just move and I couldn't see which buttons I was pressing. After a while I did learn what buttons did what for certain characters, and some characters do change over time and you have to learn their new controls, and it's pretty annoying when they just glitch out of sight and they disappear for a second, then they come back, especially when you're in the middle of a mission, but I can overlook that for a little bit. Another thing that I think is good about this game, and I would recommend it to someone, is it's a nice story, and it's not all gameplay and it's not all battle. It's almost like a film, and you're playing through and you're just absorbing what's happening around you. And I feel you don't actually have to play that, like do it that hard of gameplay and like try really well, because I think you should just get absorbed in the story, and that's what I did. I just listened to the stories. I skipped a few at the beginning because I already heard the story, but that's mainly just the title screen, and you can just easily back out of them. But I feel like the cutscenes are really good, and I think there is a few cutscenes that are a bit glitchy and they wobble a bit and the character's face glitched out, and that happened to me a few times, but again, that's just because it comes with age, that. So I think that's alright, and I can overlook that as well. But I think mainly the cutscenes have a nice storyline, and you can tell that the teams put a lot of effort into the story of the Final Fantasy type-0 HD. So yeah, that's mainly what I think about the cutscenes about this game. So a few of the things that I think are pretty good, well, they're like in the middle, so they're pretty good and they're not so good. There's the controls that I don't know if other consoles may vary, but I felt it was kind of hard to adapt to the controls, but when you got the hang of it, you got the hang of it. Because I kept having to look at the screen to see what buttons did what and how different abilities changed. And I felt like the aiming was not really the best because it's this white triangle, like 4 triangles, and sometimes you would lose sight of it, especially in a bright scene or a bright mission. You would lose sight of enemies. So if this game was new, I would like it to be made bolder, but I think because it's from 2013 and it's pretty old, I don't really mind about that, and I can probably just cope with that and learn to notice it after a while. So I don't know if that's just me or if it's just a bit hard to aim. So these are some of the things that I think are good and some of the things that I think are bad about the Final Fantasy type-0. So my gameplay is really bad because I'm really bad at most games, but I'm hoping to do more videos like this reviewing certain games. So if you have any recommendations, just comment in the description what recommendation you have for me. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.